What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Summer House Martha's Vineyard. This is season 2, episode 8. So let's get into it. Y'all know, before we get into it, sometimes we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I have a few things I want to talk to you guys today about. So first, let's talk about these tweets. So on Sunday night, Shanice decided to, tweet out her feelings, especially because, the people was hot. The people was hot, including me. But she said this. She says, it's crazy how Nick only yells at me, Noelle, and Bria when the whole house said Nick is handsy. Hashtag Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Then somebody responded by saying, it should have stayed between the girls. Nat should have not ran her mouth, in my opinion, SMH. And then Shanice said, facts. Jordan also commented under Shanice's tweet and said, half of us had already talked to him about it, and the way it was presented straight to his girl definitely added heat. My thing about it was, yes, if the whole house is have a conversation about Nick being handsy, where y'all lost points is y'all spoke about it with Natalie, and then Natalie went and tried to talk to his girlfriend. Like, y'all didn't know that lady long enough to be having girl talk with her to gauge whether or not she was going to be messy like that. And y'all could clearly, well, I won't give too much, but we'll talk about that in the review. But that's what Jordan and Shanice had to say. So then it looks like last night, Shanice and Jordan, no, it was Shanice, Noelle, and Jasmine did a Instagram live. So I got this from the Brooke Ashley. So check her out. I really enjoy her channel. But she said this on Twitter. She said, for my Summer House Martha's Vineyard girlies, Jasmine, Noelle, and Shanice are on IG Live right now answering questions about last night's episode. So then there was this lady who was like kind of giving a play-by-play. I think her name is Ellie Michelle, and she said this, I'm watching Noelle, Jasmine, and Shanice from Summer House Martha's Vineyard's lives. These comments have me in tears. They're tearing Shanice up. And then she went on to say, now all of a sudden she can't see the comments, LMFAO. She knows she's lying. And then she said this, she says, now Noelle seems apologetic, like she felt bad that it escalated to the point of these strong allegations being thrown at Nick. But bird brain Shanice is on here doubling down and throwing even more allegations towards Nick. She needs her ASS whooped. So then the Brooke Ashley quote tweeted that last response from the lady Ellie Michelle and said, I really couldn't believe her. She's sick. And then when Shanice kept saying that Nick liked what he saw every time she got naked, if he was so uncomfortable, he could have gone downstairs. She's nuts. And I think that's where Shanice loses me, is because y'all are questioning Nick about being handsy. And that's your right. But someone could also make mention about you constantly being naked. Not everybody wants to see your titties every 3 to 5 minutes. And me, as a straight woman, I would be staring at your titties like, girl, they titties. Like it's a body part, but it's like you out here jiggle-jangle them. I'm probably going to look at them as well. So I feel like Shanice is going to have a lot of heat, especially if they come back for season 3 or if they're not apologetic towards Nick at the reunion. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Brav Bros. If you don't know what that is a YouTube channel here. And the people who host the podcast are called Steele and Shooter. They had an interview with Preston, and Preston kind of gave us a little tea about the reunion in their interview. And it was actually a really good interview, so check them out. But basically, Preston said they did talk about Amir and Natalie at the reunion. Also, some people had receipts, but it wasn't on the housewives levels. They didn't have like poster boards, laminated sheets, or printer paper. It was people going through their phones and being like, ain't this what you texted me? And he also said, I think they addressed like the Nick situation. So I'm actually excited for the reunion because it seems like they really getting into some things. So let's get into some more things, which is this review. I had to come back to y'all before we get into this review. All right, I might talk about it at the end of the review, but while I was on Twitter, someone actually posted what's it called, the interview I saw with about Amir, saying that he wasn't gonna come back to Summer House Martha's Vineyard if Natalie couldn't come. So I'm gonna play that clip for y'all, and then we're gonna discuss.
Permanent. I don't know. It depends on if we do get a reunion. If we're able to clear a lot of that air, because this vacation, if it's like a domino effect and the next domino is going to be bigger than season 2 was, I don't think we'll have an enjoyable vacation. And I don't think the dynamic of the house is going to be there to where, you know, I'm going to have a good time and my partner's going to have a good time, because at the end of the day, I want her to be there with me this time.
Right.
And that's how I know I'll have the most fun.
Yeah.
Just because, like, it's fun to party with your friends.
Right.
But, like, real adult vacations, like, everyone brings their significant others. No one bats an eye about it, and you have a great time.
Yes.
So if all of those things line up, absolutely, I would love to be back for a season 3. If they don't, then I've just got some heavy thinking, because, like we talked about, I've got to make sure that if this does end one day, that I'm good, and that the family that I'm planning on having one day is going to be taken care of.
Like I said, I had seen people talk about this a couple of times where they were saying Amir said that he wasn't going to come back unless Natalie could come back in the house with him. And I was like, who got the clip? Well, I was scrolling on Twitter while I was like between videos, and I was like, someone posted it. Shouts out. And I think it was Ashley Shy Miller. So shouts out to her. So I looked at it. Amir's a dumbass. He is. And he's such a himbo, and he's stupid. He is stupid. And I mean this with all of me. I mean this with all of me. You are basically like stabbing yourself in the foot for someone who clearly doesn't really like you like that. Amir, when you were talking about wanting to be with this lady and marriage being the next thing, that girl said, oh, I see myself building my company and my team. No thoughts of marriage. You're in this video talking about like, this is somebody I want to spend my life with and have a family with. Dude, does Natalie want that with you? Natalie sees you as a means to an end, like, bro. And on top of that, you are not even that well liked or even that much of a fan favorite. And even if you were a fan favorite, y'all are only on season 2. Y'all aren't even like the original Summer House on season 8, or I think they're on season 9 or 8. Like you haven't been around that long or garnered that much success from this show to be making these types of demands. You're dumb. You are such a lame and a goofy. And I hate that for me, because I actually liked you last season. And this season, you are showing a lot about yourself. And it's like your girlfriend's not likable. And I like a messy girl sometimes, but your girlfriend's not likable, and you're not that boy. You think you that boy because Andy be propping you up, but you're not that guy. And I promise you can be easily replaced, Amir. Easily. It's a lot of like biracial people trying to figure out their place in this world that they can pick that are probably way more likable than you, sir. Way more likable than you. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up where it left off. Nick's party is still going on. Everyone's dancing, having a good time, eating, drinking, conversating, And we see Bria upstairs cussing Simon out. You have Natalie, Donald, and Tasia ear hustling because they went upstairs to go change so they could go down to the pool. So Bria pretty much telling Simon, pack your stuff, you're done. Okay, you're leaving. I don't want to be here with you anymore. You disrespected me, and I'm done with you, Simon. And so Simon is like, you really gonna break up with me over a flamingo costume? And Bria is very much like, yeah, I am, sir. So pack your stuff. And so Simon is just kind of like, girl, you tripping. It ain't that deep. It ain't that deep. We actually see Simon leave Bria and go downstairs asking people for sugar, which I was like, what are you asking for sugar for? Like, are you about to eat a spoonful of sugar? Makes the medicine go down. Shout out to all my Mary Poppin kids. But I'm just kind of like, why are you asking for sugar? Are you about to drink coffee? Like, I was confused when he was like, anybody got sugar? Sugar. I said, Simon, what do you need sugar for? But Bria is really angry. Like, she is really frustrated and pissed off. And so, and like I told y'all in the spicy corner, Preston did the interview with the Brav Bros, and they asked him about the Flamingo situation, and Preston pretty much said that like Bria wasn't lying about everyone staring at her and like her feeling uncomfortable, because when Simon came down, he said everybody in the party was kind of looking at each other like, what is he doing? And why does he have on the flamingo costume? Like, he brought the vibe down. Like, it wasn't funny to nobody. Nobody was like laughing or kikiing about it. Everyone was just kind of like, what is this weirdo doing? Like, what is this white man doing? Like, no, nobody was really enthralled by it. So Preston pretty much validated Bria feeling like everyone's staring at me, everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy because they know you my man and you're embarrassing me. And in that regard, I understand Bria. I still feel like Bria was overreacting. And I think the issue for me is because we've seen Bria go from like 0 to 100, like quick like that, it's like when she has like this response where it's warranted, it's annoying to me. And it's also like, girl, you doing too much. And that's because I've seen you do so much where I'm just like, girl, shut up. But I totally understand her feeling some type of way because that is messed up. Like we saw last episode, it was Summer, Bria, and Simon in Bria's room, and Bria and Summer told Simon, "Don't wear that costume at Nick's party. Wear it at the pool." Now, the only thing I could give Simon a little bit, just like, and I mean like y'all like this small piece of something, is maybe he did think everyone was going to the pool because we see a scene of Amir jumping on the trampoline and the people that were around him were in their swimsuits. Even Natalie was in her swimsuit because she has the same like burgundy kind of like Auburn swimsuit. So I was like, well, maybe Simon thought everyone was running down to the pool and so he put it on. But then I think about it, like, you didn't have on your swim trunks. So what were you wearing it for anyway if you were going down by the pool? Were you going to get in the pool with your like clothes, like with your like suit and all of that stuff? So I was just like, I don't know if I could give him that, but I was trying to see where maybe, but again, he still disrespected Bria because she specifically asked him not to do that. So then we get this scene of Summer, Jasmine, and I think one of Jordan's friends, because we know Summer left the party to go upstairs because she knows she's sober, and she was kind of like, it's kind of uncomfortable being around everybody and everyone's like drunk and I'm sober. So Jasmine came just to make sure Summer was okay, and Summer was like, yeah, I just got like a lot on my mind. And Summer says in her confessional, like, it's a lot going on. Like, my grandmother's getting surgery on her eye. I'm still trying to reconnect with my father, and I'm figure out who my father is. I'm trying to reconnect with my mom, and we know her mom is a recovering drug addict. So it's a lot going on, and me being drunk is not the best way to do it because I'm not handling this in the best way. I can give Summer credit for acknowledging that, yeah, girl, I need to put the drinks down. I need to put the drinks down and really like handle my feelings. But I do kind of feel like it's a little too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're on day 10. Y'all got 5 more days and you leaving. And of course, I'm not expecting to see like some huge 180 from Summer. But I think I wish she would have figured this out. Maybe like we're on episode 8, maybe episode 4, and maybe she wouldn't have had the response that people are having to her, as well as feeling the way she's feeling in the house. Because if you had all of this going on, like you knew you had all of this going on before you came into the house, I feel like you should have been prepared in a sense of gauging whether or not this is something you can handle. And yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it. Like, I'm glad that she made the decision not to drink, but I'm also like, girl, you probably should have did this like 3 or 4, 5 days ago. Y'all only in this house for 5 days, sis. But I thought it was nice that Jasmine went and checked on her, and so did Jordan's friend, because she was just hauled up in that room, not doing anything, probably sleeping on the floor where the cameras couldn't see her. The party's still going on. We got Bria walking around the house with Milo, upset, sad, and depressed. We also got this funny scene of Alex coming out the bathroom after, I guess, he did number 2. And like nobody knowing. I don't know if they knew he was in the bathroom or if they were making fun of him because he was like wiping the sweat off his head that he was like in there straining. But I just thought that was funny because he was up in Summer and Jordan's room, and we saw Jasmine, Summer, and a couple of other people sitting in the room just talking and laughing and giggling. So like I said, Bria walking around the house sad and distraught. Like I said before, Simon don't really care. He was downstairs looking for sugar, even talking to Alex, being like, she mad at me over the Flamingo outfit, but we good. So he really don't take Bria seriously. So Amir drunk as hell. I mean drunk as hell. And he goes to talk to Bria in the sunroom with Milo. And he's trying to like talk to Bria, being like, it's okay. Y'all have a good relationship. I want to tell you, I was so irritated by this conversation because it was just all three of them were drunk. And I didn't want to hear anything coming out of Amir's mouth. So I was like, Amir, shut up. He's like, you think me and Natalie, like our relationship's a walk in the park? I'm like, y'all only been together for like 4 months, really? Like, girl, like y'all been together for like 2 seconds. What issues do y'all truly have? So calm down. And what's crazy to me is like we see Amir in the truth booth. Well, like I said, when I was watching the interview with Preston on the Brav Bros podcast, they were like, why didn't y'all utilize the truth booth? Preston said to them, it was a mandatory that they did 3 truth booths a day. And he said one day he did like 7. And he was like, we've all been like, what was the point of the truth booth if y'all weren't going to put them in there? And I'm like, yeah, like they even had this fun game. They said they played hide and go seek in the dark, but everybody put on black. That I was like, oh, that would probably been fun to watch everyone run around. And he was like, they did a truth booth as a group and it was funny. And he was like, they didn't put that in. So he was like, I don't know why the truth booth ain't in there. So we get back to Amir and Bria sitting in the sunroom and Amir trying to coach her on about her relationship because she's like, it's over. My relationship is over. So then Simon comes in and he's like, what's good? Are we okay? Are we good? And she's like, no. And then Simon is like, well, I thought we was all going to the pool party. So that's why I think he thought it was okay. Like I said, I think that's why he thought it was okay to bring out the Flamingo outfit. But I think where I'm like, I don't know is because, bro, you didn't have on like swim trunks. Again, I'm like, were you going to jump in the pool with just your regular clothes on? That doesn't make sense to me. So then Amir's like, Simon, you need to apologize to her. She loves you, Simon. She loves you. Amir even grabs Simon's face to instruct him how to apologize correctly. And I'm like, you can coach this man drunk and all how to apologize correctly, but you couldn't give a decent or a genuine apology to Mariah. Says a lot about you, Amir, that you genuinely don't feel like you did anything wrong to Mariah, and you really don't even feel like she deserves an apology. So we find out from Bria that basically Simon is mad that he can only stay for 3 days. I guess last season, I think they allowed him to stay a little bit longer, maybe the latter half of the trip. But he's upset that he can only spend 3 days. Ever since he found that out, she says he's been acting up and that's why he's been down in drinks. And she was like, he has never been this way before. And I'm looking at Bria like, if he's never been this way before, why are you like, you not picking up on like he got issues? That's just me. And so we see Bria sitting on the floor in the room, packing up Simon's stuff on the phone with her mom. And her mom is the most rational, because I remember last season when Bria wanted to kick Simon out for being in the hot tub when Shanice got naked. And her mom was like, girl, that's Shanice. You know how your friend is. Don't kick Simon out the house. And the mom is doing the same thing. She was like, I don't think that's right for you to kick him out the house. And he flew all the way from Germany. And she was all, because Bria was like, I got his credit card number. I'm going to pack his stuff and I'm going to get him a hotel and he's going to leave. But we know she didn't do it because the last thing we see of that night really is her in the bed, like with the covers all over her, and Simon in the bed guzzling down, I think, beer. And I was like, you drinking beer, wine, and alcohol? Bro, I know your stuff. That's why when he farted, it smelled disgusting, like something crawled up his butt and died, because you are mixing too many liquids that don't need to be mixed. So we see Nick downstairs before he went upstairs because Tasia is in bed. Nick went downstairs to check on Shanice because Shanice was being a lush and she was drunk too. So he went downstairs to make sure she was okay. And he was like, here's some ginger ale and a trash can. So it's the next morning. We see Bria and Simon in the bed and he was like, you want to fight me? And she was like, I'll beat your ass too. Like, she was like, let's go for it. But we also see Donald and Preston cleaning up. We see Nick go downstairs again to check up on Shanice to make sure she's okay. We find out she threw up in a trash can downstairs. Noelle is already downstairs eating cereal, checking up on Shanice. And, you know, everyone's just talking about how good of a party Nick had. And honestly, Nick's party, what's her name, Nick's party and the Freaknik party, to me, were the best parties because they had outside people, and it seems like everybody was in good spirits and the vibes were vibing. As the day continues, we find out that they're going on a bike ride as a group. And everyone's excited to go, especially Jasmine, because she was like, they do it every single year. And she was like, just because I'm pregnant don't mean I'm not going to be out here, having a good time. I just need Jasmine to step up next season if they come back and she comes back, because I did see that they're doing like casting calls. But I just need her to be more. But I know she's pregnant, so I'm giving her a pass because that can be very taxing on the body. You creating life. But next season, girl, you got to give us more. We also see her talking to Silas on the phone, and he seems to be doing well. So we see the guys talking about Donald, saying how much they like him. And I like Donald too. I hope he comes back next season. If Preston comes back next season, he seems like a fun time. And then we see this, we see Noelle, Bria, Shanice, and I said Noelle, Breeze, and Natalie go outside and sit on the hammock. And Nick makes a comment being like, oh, that's an odd pairing. So they're sitting on the hammock and they ask Natalie, like, girl, what's up with Amir? Like, is he okay? Well, Amir and Preston were playing some drinking game where they were like taking shots every time they saw each other, or maybe like every hour on the hour. I don't know. But clearly Preston can handle his liquor and Amir can't. Because Amir was throughout this whole entire episode looking like the dog off of Looney Tunes. I think it's called Droopy. Just looking, sad and uncomfortable, and I know his stomach probably was hurting. Like, I know he was probably cramping like a mother because he was like, I need Tums, I need to get medicine. So his stomach was on 10, so he was uncomfortable. And Natalie basically said that Amir was like trying to test his limits, and she was like, I don't know why he was doing that. And you know how Natalie's like black scent kind of came out. I was like, boy, you don't need to be texting your limits. It's so it's so funny to me when white people or non-black people, like minorities, get around black people and feel like they have to put on this black scent. Like, we're not going to understand what type of communication. Like, we're not going to be able to communicate with us without being like, girl, and yeah, mama, and all this stuff. Because, like, it doesn't sound right coming out y'all's mouths. I wish y'all would stop doing that. Just be yourself. And that also, I have learned, that has taught me how uncomfortable somebody is, because I have friends who are white that don't talk like that. And we can have normal conversations and they don't be like, girl, and yes, ma'am, and all that. They don't do none of that. They don't even do they don't say none of that. They're just like, they talk regular. But like, I can tell when people don't know how to relate to black people, they start talking like in a black scent where I'm like, no, stop. Please, you're making a fool of yourself. It's very cringe and you're making me uncomfortable. But pretty much they asked Bria, like, girl, how are you and Simon? And Bria reiterates what she said, that, he embarrassed me. I never acted this way at his event, so I don't get why he's acting this way at mine. Like, I don't even think I want him to come back next summer. And I said, see, Simon, you talking yourself out of your cameo appearance. Because it's clear as day that both Natalie and Simon want to be on this show. For all Natalie being like, this not how I get down. That's not my move. I can't be a part of that. But yet you've been carrying the bone for the past 2 episodes, just flapping them gums. Girl, you definitely want to be included, and you definitely want to be a part of this show. And I'm starting to see what people were saying on Twitter, because at first I felt like Amir was social climbing off of Natalie, and I still feel that way too. He's doing it professionally, because Natalie is like, she boasted about selling like $2 million properties. Amir doesn't do that. So I think he was like, okay, let me get with this girl so I can be a part of her team and start making more money. So he's social climbing off of Natalie. Natalie's doing it the same way, but the opposite, where she's social climbing off of Amir, basically to be on this show and gain more visibility. But it's doing the reverse effect, because a lot of people say, girl, you giving January the 6th energy. And I don't know if that's how you want it to come off, but that's how you coming off, sis. So pretty much, they start talking about Tasia and Nick's relationship. I think they were talking to Shanice and being like, girl, how you feeling? And Shanice said she was blacked out drunk. And Noelle said, well, Nick came and talked to her. So then someone said, well, I wonder how Nick is. No, I think they was like, well, did anyone talk to Tasia and see how she's doing? And Natalie makes a comment where she was like, well, Tasia was laying in bed last night waiting for Nick to come to bed while he was still downstairs trying to see what he can get into. Natalie gets very much controlling. Like, when I go to bed, you need to go to bed too. But I'm like, he was hosting a party. Like, if I'm hosting, your job is to make sure everybody, all of your guests are taken care of until like the last one is out of the door. So I didn't get where she was coming from with that. And I'm not like that in relationships. Like, if I'm going to bed, I'm going to bed. Just make sure when you get in this bed, you don't wake me up. So, okay. So they then start talking about how I think Noelle said, I wonder how Tasia feels, like if her, like, if she knew what her man was doing 48 hours, or if she wonders what her man was doing 48 hours before she came into the house. And then Bria brings up how, like, last season or last summer, we talked to Tasia about Nick's behavior, how he was in my DM, Shanice's DMs, and Shanice's DM and Jordan's DMs, and how he was behaving. So, like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to say anything to her, because Natalie ends up being like, well, if y'all feel this way, me and Tasia are friends, and I would hate for her to be in the house walking around not knowing this information about him being handsy. I can tell her. But you could tell that Shanice, Noelle, and Bria were very much like, girl, keep this between us. They were like, nah, you don't really got to do that. Like, it's nothing for us to, like, say to him. Because Noelle even said in her confessional, I wouldn't be comfortable with my man being the way Nick is. If you're going to be taking pictures, your hand need to be on the shoulder. Don't be putting your hand over the breast and all that stuff. And they showed the picture of them at Freaknik, where it was Alex, Summer, Noelle, and Nick. And Nick had his arm over Noelle, but it was like between her breasts. And she was like, yeah, I wouldn't be cool with that. But Shanice and the main girls, Bria, Shanice, and Noelle, pretty much told Natalie, nah, we could keep this between us. But then I look at them like, y'all are stupid, because why would you be having this type of conversation in front of mixed company? Like, if I'm ever gossiping with people and I'm only talking with people that have proven to me that they not going to be running their mouths. Y'all don't know Natalie, and Natalie already showed y'all whatever you told her, especially Bria. Bria, my bad, y'all, tripping over my words. Bria told Natalie about the argument she had with Summer last episode, and then Natalie ran around the house telling Jordan, telling Donald, which means Donald going to tell his man about what she said. And it's like, the lady already showed you she can't be trusted with what y'all talking about. So why are y'all having this conversation in front of her? On top of that, she let y'all know she was gonna run back and tell her friend, because I don't even think they friends like that, what y'all were talking about. Y'all are dumb. We see this conversation between Natalie and Amir, where Amir asks Natalie when they're in the bedroom as they're making up the bed, like, what was y'all talking about? So Natalie ends up telling Amir, well, I'm going to tell Tasia about what the girl's saying about Nick being real handsy. Well, I guess they didn't notice that somebody was in the bathroom, i.e. Alex. So Alex walks out while they're mid-sentence talking about what happened, and they're both like, oh, like shocked that he was in there. I said, y'all didn't see no lights on, didn't hear nobody in the bathroom, but okay. And so I feel like Alex actually told Nick what they were talking about, and I'll explain why I feel that way when we get to when they were at the restaurant. So Amir ends up encouraging Natalie to have the conversation with Tasia, where he's like, yeah, I know if I was moving the way he was moving, you wouldn't like that. So I get it. It's girl code. And I'm like, what happened to bro code? Or screw girl code, bro code. What happened to you being a genuine friend? Amir is always in his confessional talking about, these are my bros, these are my guys. If that really was your guy or your bro, you would have told Natalie, girl, don't worry about it. We talked about this a week ago, and they show the flashback of when he was like, it could be interpreted that you're an F-boy, and Preston saying it's interpreted, but go off. And it's like, you should have told Natalie, oh girl, we had the conversation a week ago. He addressed it with the two people that had the issue with him, which was Summer and Jordan, and everything seems to be fine now. So you don't even need to have the conversation, but yet you're encouraging him. And if I was Amir, I would have just told her the same, like what I just said. We had the conversation, but if you like still need to go talk to Tasia, I think it needs to be the four of us, because we're couple friends. We're not friends like that. Because Natalie keeps saying, but that's my friend, that's my girl. That lady don't know you, nor do I feel like she like you, to be honest. So, and I just feel like that's messed up, because I feel like if like Amir keeps saying that man is his boy, then you should have told your friend. Like, I told Natalie not to say nothing, but she gonna go talk to Tasia, so heads up, bro. Like, They're a bunch of Judases. Okay, a bunch of Judases, okay? So we then see that Preston and Donald aren't going bike riding. Neither is Simon or Bria. And then we see that Nick or Tasia isn't going because Nick forgot to tell Tasia that they were going bike riding as a group. And she doesn't want to bike ride in her dress. Now, they asked Nick in the confessional, like, do you want to marry her or when are y'all going to get married? And Nick is rambling. He's talking about jumping the broom. He's talking about the white picket fence. He's talking about how Tasia is smart. She's kind. She's caring. She's beautiful. She's all these things. And honestly, what it is, I don't think there's any, like, chemistry between Nick and Tasia. I think they probably make good friends and they probably had like this relationship, but this is how far that relationship is going to go. Nick gives me very much like she's great on paper, but there's nothing really pulling me to her. Like there's no spark there. And sometimes that's how relationships are. Like you guys are great on paper. Y'all have great communication. Y'all have all of this stuff, but it's not enough to pull you to want to marry somebody. And I'm not in the boat of like, because y'all were together for so long, y'all should get married, especially if one party doesn't feel convicted to get married. Like, I feel like you should feel like, yeah, this is the person I want to be with. And most of the times people can determine after maybe 2 years whether or not they want to really marry somebody. But we know now that Nick and Tasia ain't together. So I guess it is what it is. So we see everybody pile into the cars. Shanice makes a comment about Nick and Tasia being a weird couple because I guess she thought that they were going to bike ride in the dress. But I'm looking at Shanice being like, I want you to shut up, miss. I get naked every 3 to 5 minutes, as well as I'm crying about being broke and poor and losing my job, but I be out here sending nudes to high, earning men who can't even send me a couple of dollars to make my way through, but I'm out here sending nudes. Like, you don't think that's weird behavior? That you out here sending nudes to people and you are boasting about the men you messing with that like they're like CEOs and all of that stuff, but they can't slide you a couple thousand to make sure your rent okay? That's weird to me. That's weird to me. We get this scene of everybody riding their bikes and having a good time. We have this cute scene with Jordan and Jasmine where Jordan is struggling to ride the bike and Jasmine is like, well, tilt back, like trying to teach her how to ride the bike. And Jordan is just reminiscing about how she feels like with Silas not being here, the old Jasmine is kind of coming back and she's really enjoying her and she really missed her friend. So we also see Nick and Tasia in the car where Tasia's talking about she doesn't have any like service, and Nick ends up saying like you need to get on like his last name's family plan, and she was like, well, my last name is, I think she said Bierman or Barry or something would it be, and she kept saying it, trying to give him the hint like I'll get on your plan when you drop down on one knee and put a ring on it. Okay. So we end up seeing everybody, get to the restaurant. It looks like Tasia, Nick, Donald, and Preston were already there before them. And then we end up seeing Simon and Bria pull up because, they stayed back at the house and then everybody else pulls up as well. So while they were all at the bike ride, before Simon and Bria got there, we have their conversation. And it irritated me because Bria's stupid and Simon is stupid. And shouts out to the Whether You Like It or Not panel. Y'all check them out because they had me dying laughing when they were talking about this section of the episode as well as the end part. So check them out. I'll put their information on the screen. But they're like something that Sakina said popped into my head and it tickled me. But pretty much, Bria ends up like she's sitting out on the balcony. Simon comes out and he's like, can we talk? And she's like, yeah. And they're both like trying to figure out who's gonna go first. And Bria was like, you go first. So Simon basically is like, I feel some type of way that you were so quick to throw our relationship away. And Bria's like, cut the crap, Simon. I would never embarrass you or act up the way you've been acting up at any of your Watchmen events. I guess that's the name of his company. And he was like, but you have. He was like, the last time we had an event, you were only in there for like 5 minutes. You said you don't F with none of the people in there. And then you stormed out and went and sat in the car with Milo. And Bria's like, you know why I did that is because it was people were being racist towards me. Of course, I'm not going to stay in an environment where I don't feel safe. And you don't make me feel safe. You put me in dangerous situations. And then she brings up how she was like, well, you remember when we was at the club and that girl told me to go back to my country and then her friend pushed me and I pushed them back? Like, if I feel disrespected, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to pop off. And and you don't protect me. She was like, I've been with men. Most of the men I've been with have always protected me, and you don't do it. So I'm looking at Bria, then why are we with him? Why are we with Simon if Simon doesn't make us feel protected, respected, or any of those, or anything, or feel safe? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So then Bria ends up saying, like, your cousins have said racial things and German around me. And then your one cousin was like, I didn't know Simon was into indigenous women. And honestly, someone saying that you're indigenous isn't a read or a dig. Like, a lot of people who are indigenous people would like to be referred to as indigenous people. But I guess in the context in which the way the cousin was using it, she probably wanted to say, I didn't know you was into NIGG, with the hard R. The hard R to Simon, and Bria picked up on the like context clues of what that lady was saying, and she got offended. So Simon is like, no, I always see, and she's like, no, you don't see because you're white and you don't got to worry about that stuff. And then Simon is like, well, I always do things with you in mind. I love you. I never want you to feel like you're not protected. And I'm looking at both of them like, oh, y'all are stupid. Bria's stupid because, again, why are you with somebody going back and forth across the pond where they are putting you in an environment that you have said is not safe and you don't feel protected or respected? There's no amount of money, because that has to be the reason why she kicking it with him, for me to be with somebody where I feel like I'm going to be harmed in any way just because I'm black. And then I can't give Simon a pass because you've been with Bria for how long? And even if they haven't been together for that long, you chose to be with a black woman, a black American woman. So it's like, we're not going to act like anti-blackness and racism and white supremacy does not proliferate in everybody's culture and is not global. So if you took on that initiative to be with somebody of another ethnicity, another nationality, then it is on you to take the time to educate yourself. And anytime they speak up about being met with like injustice or racism, you should be standing beside them or in front of them to protect them. Because at the end of the day, you want Bria in Germany. And if you really want her in Germany, then you need to make the initiative to make her feel safe and provide her with a community that makes her feel safe. But I'm looking at Bria like, girl, why are you with him? Is the money that good? Because, girl, I don't see it with Simon. In all honesty, Simon gives very much like middle class man. Because even though he gave everybody them watches, somebody peeped that them watches was giving very much Ross and like, TJ Maxx and Marshall's energy, that like, I guess someone online pretty, and I'm paraphrasing, said that like those really weren't like, probably wasn't that big of a deal. Like they probably had extras at his company, so he brought them to give to them. Because I'm just kind of like, girl, I could not be with somebody like that. And I don't have an issue with interracial relationships. I have family members who have married outside of their race, and it's like, it's cool. But my cousins who are now married into my family have cultural understanding and knowledge of what they're getting into. And I feel like it should be reciprocated the same way. Like, case in point, if I got with somebody who was Latin, I would want to learn their customs just like they need to learn my customs as a black woman. If I got with a white guy, same way, I would want to be, you learn mine, I learn yours. And when I'm met with anti-blackness and racism, or if you're met with prejudice from my people, I would check that behavior and you would check it too. And the fact that Simon hasn't done that, I don't understand why Bria is with him. And so I was like, it has to be the money, but Simon ain't giving that he got the funds like that. To me, everybody gets to the restaurant. So now we're back at the restaurant. And while they're sitting down, you have Amir and Natalie at the end of the table and Tasia and Nick at the end of the table. So Natalie takes it upon herself to be messy and all the way out of line, because I'm like, if you wanted to have a conversation with the girl, you should have pulled her to the side and been like, hey, Tasia, can you come to the bathroom with me to help me fix something? Like, you wanted to be messy. Like, you wanted to be seen and you wanted to be messy. And so she comes around the table and she's like touching on Tasia's hair. Now, I didn't see an issue with it, but the people was upset because they was like, girl, she was patting on that lady like a dog. I didn't take it as that. I took it as Natalie was being nervous and was just like she didn't know what to do with her hands, but I understand what y'all see. If y'all saw it, I believe you, okay? So she's messing with Tasia's hair and she's like, can we talk? Like, I want to talk to you about something. Tasia's looking up at her like, girl, get, like, in the nicest way, like, get out my face. And so Nick is looking at her like, What are you doing? And this is why I think Nick and Tasia had a conversation and Alex told Nick, because Tasia looked at Nick and then looked at her, and then Alex even was looking down at the table like, this is what I told you. And so Tasia tells Natalie, I'm about to leave in like 30 minutes. I don't want to hear it. And she was like, oh, okay. And so it's like, you look stupid. You look goofy. So then Natalie walks around the table and goes sit back down near Amir. And she was like, she didn't want to hear it. And Amir was like, oh, okay. So then Amir looking sick as a dog. Looking just like, I think the character's called Droopy, looking sick as a dog, being like, I need to get some medicine, which is such an ick to me. Such an ick to me. Men that can't handle liquor is such an ick to me. And it might be because I've hung around frat bros and they drink. Like, you know, they drink and my friends drink as well. And it's like, when we drink, some of us drink. Sometimes I can drink, but not all the times. Like, I know my limits. But it's like, I've been around guys who drink like that, and they don't be looking like Amir. Like, he was giving whiny and like having to throw up. And I'm like, if you have to vomit, you should have stayed at the house and stayed in bed. Like, he was getting on my nerves. So Preston, Donald, Tasia, and Nick leave because they're both leaving to go home. And so while like they're in the car, Nick texts what's her name? Nick texts Natalie and was like, Tasia didn't like what you did at all. Like, what's going on? And so Natalie was like, apparently you are touchy. And then Nick texts back, really? Who is saying this about me? And then she pushes Bria, Noelle, and Shanice. And I'm like, and you didn't add yourself in there because you was being messy too with that conversation talking about, well, Tasia was laying in bed. Nick was trying to see what he could get into. You were trying to imply that he was out here trying to find somebody to cheat with. Okay. So then Amir leaves the table because he's like, his stomach is really bothering him. And she ends up and he's sitting at the table trying to like balance a ketchup bottle and mustard to lay his head on. He get on my nerves. So Natalie is now feeling, she's scared. First of all, if you're going to be messy, don't be scary. Use a scary somebody, because now she's all like, I don't want to be seen as problematic and messy, but you are. Okay. You're the worst type of messy is you start something and then when the block get too hot, you want to be like, oh, I didn't want it to go down that way. Girl, stand in the mess because we know you want to be included. So she ends up going to sit by Amir because he left the table, and she's like, Amir's trying to coach her on how to text a Nick back. So she's like, the girls were talking about you and Tasia earlier, and I wanted to let her know what was going on. I just wanted to give her a heads up. Basically trying to make it seem like she wasn't in on the conversation. You were also adding it. It'd be different if you were sitting there just listening to what was being said, but you were adding to that conversation. Scary hoe. Oh, I do not like people like that. If you're going to be in the mess, be in the mess. Be in the mess. So they're all sitting at the table talking about they want to bring significant others on the trip. But honestly, Summer House Martha's Vineyard needs to be like the original Summer House where there's only one main couple. Like you have Kyle and Amanda. That needs to be the only couple, and everybody else needs to be single, because all of y'all being coupled up isn't very entertaining to a lot of people. I don't mind it, but I get what other people are saying. Like, they want this to be fun and free, and y'all trying to give constraint, and that's not what the feelings want. He's in his feelings because he was like, why are y'all bringing this up again when we've already had this conversation? So while at the house, it's Nick and Preston after they dropped off their people, and Nick is like, Preston is like, what's going on? So Nick is like, pretty much, I guess, Bria, Noelle, Natalie, and Shanice had a conversation about me being handsy, and she wanted to have the conversation. Natalie wanted to talk to Tasia about it. And Preston is like, but we already had this conversation. And Nick is like, and that's my thing. Like, I don't know why they're doing this. And Preston was like, yeah, that's weird. That's weird. But he was like, we're going to have a conversation about it. So everybody comes into the house, and we see, Amir, Judas again, he immediately goes to hug Nick to embrace him. We good? And then he hugs Natalie and it was like, no, I'm mad, so we need to have a conversation. But yeah, we good, because he doesn't know the context of how far Natalie has been in this mess. So then Simon even comes and apologizes to Nick about wearing the Flamingo outfit, which he should have, because it was disrespectful. So then while they're in the kitchen, I think at the time it was just Summer, Noelle, and Natalie was standing right beside Nick, and you could tell she was scared of the smoke because her eyes kept like darting back and forth, like she was afraid of what was about to happen. So then Nick is like, we've already had a conversation about the whole touchy thing. And Summer was like, yeah, we have. And he was like, I don't have no issues with you. I have an issue with you. So he tells Noelle, like, I think it's pretty messed up that you over here telling people that I touched you inappropriately. And then, like, I get it. You want to be included, but it's not like that. I said, ooh. And he got Noelle, because Noelle's face was like she was kind of like, wait. And she was like, I never said you touched me inappropriately or made me feel uncomfortable. I said, I've seen you be handsy. And then Nick was like, when? And Noelle didn't even have anything to say. And she was like, I wasn't even going to tell anybody to say anything. Like, we weren't even going to say anything to Tasia. So in the confessional, Noelle is like, we probably shouldn't have had girl talk with Natalie. And I was like, yeah, because y'all didn't know that lady. Y'all out here letting the insider into y'all inner sanctum, y'all circle. And you seen that lady be messy. Y'all are dumb. Okay. So then Noelle is like, because normally when me, Bria, and Shanice have girl talk, it stays girl talk. It doesn't go out. But then she tries to be like, if Nick wasn't so guilty, he wouldn't be so defensive. And I hate that, like, I don't know what you would call it. I don't think it's like a that type of judging people, because it's like, one, yes, I'm gonna, like, yes, some people who are guilty are defensive, but two, if you're accusing me of something that I didn't do, I'm allowed to be defensive and check the shit out of you, because how dare you? Because at the end of the day, what Natalie did could potentially ruin his relationship. Now, Nick played into it. Like, I'm gonna have to give some smoke to Nick, because you were season 1 in them DMs of them girls, and then we didn't find out till like episode 6 or 5 that you were with Tasia, but you and Tasia been together for a hot minute. And then on top of that, you are kind of handsy. You touching people's waists and arms, and like, that's not a marker for you being inappropriate, but some people aren't cool with that if they're in a relationship. So Nick has contributed to it, but again, they've already had the conversation and they've already settled it. So why are y'all talking about it again? And why is Natalie messy self out here spreading the information out there like that? But Noelle was like, I never said you made me feel uncomfortable. I never said you did anything like that. So Nick said, okay, we good. So then Noelle is like, you know what? I'm about to go get Shanice and Bria, because I'm not about to get all of this. So she runs upstairs to go get Shanice and Bria. And so when Shanice comes down and Nick went right into it and was like, so I touch you inappropriately. I touch you this. And Shanice is like, I never said you were handsy or touched me inappropriately. I just said you do be looking a lot. And so Nick is like, so me looking at you when you naked is inappropriate. And I'm like, yeah, like, Shanice, you be out here free flowing, free balling it all the time. If the roles were reversed and it was a man with his, his thing out all the time, because women got we got titties and vaginas. Men have penises. If a guy was out here just swinging it always, we would be offended. So I'm like, you need to also check yourself. Like, it seems like the house is okay with you being free and all of this stuff, but also you're being disrespectful to other people's relationships as well, because you wouldn't want nobody out there being naked. Like, even when you got naked with your friend, with Simon in the hot tub, that was disrespectful. Like, that was your friend and you got naked in front of her man like it was nothing. Granted, it seems like that is who Shanice is, but like, you also have to take an accountability. Not everybody want to see your naked body. Not everybody wants to see your ass and your titties and your vagina, ma'am. You may think it's great, and that's good for you, but that's not what everybody wants to see, okay? So then Shanice is in her confessional being like, I just think Nick is upset because he got caught. No, y'all are trying him, and he has every right to clock y'all and check y'all. So then Bria comes down, and he's like, so what's up with you and me? Like, you going behind my back trying to tell my girl that I'm out here being handsy? So then Preston steps in and he's like, well, if y'all were never going to talk to, like, what happened to what was said that made it seem like now y'all need to tell Tasia about what's going on? Noelle reiterates, we were never going to tell her. It wasn't that serious or that deep to us. Natalie is the one that says. So Natalie's like, well, no, I said we should have did that. Jasmine and Preston's face. Preston was like, okay, well, you bringing confusion and chaos. And then even Jasmine was like, girl, okay, white girl. Okay, we see you for your works. So then what's it called? Nick and Bria start to get into it or start arguing back and forth, where she says that he's loose when he drinks, and like Preston was like, explain that. And she was like, well, you were flirting with me on the boat. And then when they did the flashback, girl, you were twerking. And he was like, good, Bria. He was like, girl, she got yams. And then in the car, you were like, ooh, take me to Nobu. The same girl who was trying to proposition this man before her man got here to be her sleep buddy. Like, what are you talking about? And then when they're arguing, Bria's like, watch your tone. Mind you, I'm glad Nick mentioned it. You blacked out on me when I was trying to tell you about Milo 2 episodes ago, and I let you have it, but I need to watch my tone. And that's why I said on Twitter, they need me in that house, because the way I would cuss Bria out to the point that she would be in tears or want to like fight me, it would have been up and stuck. Because what we not gonna do is allow you to be nasty and disrespectful to everybody and raise your voice and elevate it. But then when you getting checked and they want to raise their voice and elevate it to you, it's watch your tone, get it out. And I said, couldn't be me. Could not be me. The episode ends on a cliff, like I guess a cliffhanger, where we're gonna open up next Sunday with the same argument back and forth. Honestly, if I were Nick, I would be looking at Natalie sideways and Amir sideways, because it does seem like Shanice, Noelle, and Bria were never gonna bring up the conversation to Tasia. They were just having girl talk. And Natalie was the one that wanted to be in the mix because she wants to be seen and wants to be on this show and caused an issue and a problem. And what's crazy, y'all, while I was doing this video, girl, you know what? I'm gonna just add it into the spicy corner. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic, and definitely hop down in them comments below.